So, since free agency has settled down, and now we can look at the NBA with a different look, I'm just gonna, cover what has happened with the NBA, and then, I want to talk about what's been happening around the league when it comes to contracts, new signings, and basically, like, since the only big news that are left are what's going to happen with James Harden and Damian Lillard, I would like to, take a moment to recap free agency, meanwhile also talking about some of the moves made. The Suns expanded more on their terror. They now added Eric Gordon, and this, in my opinion, is extremely scary as now they have probably the deepest team in the NBA when it comes to keeping a team which is filled with stars and players to help them. The only problem that I would say is that they do have a big man problem. How are you going to guard Jokic in the playoffs? Like, in my opinion, unless you are just hoping that you could find better strategies, you gotta keep in mind that your coach, which is Frank Vogel, the last time that he played against Jokic, he had Anthony Davis, one of the strongest and best defensive big men in the league. So, in my opinion, we really need to look at what has happened as with this coach and see like he's not going to be able to do the same thing that he did. In my opinion, I do want to talk about two guys, and that's mainly what I want to recap from free agency. And it's three main contracts that I want to recap. First, I want to say that Miles Bridges signed again. He signed with the Charlotte Hornets for $7.9 million on a 1 year deal. In my opinion, this will probably just be a year. I don't know if he's going to get to play, but I know that they want him on the roster and they want him to go there because he works perfectly with Lamelo. And even though he does have some crimes, let's face it, he's one of those players who's good enough to the point where people will forget about what he did just because he's that good. And I'm sorry, it does suck to say that. And in my opinion, he's a monster because of what he did. But Miles Bridges has elevated himself to a point where it's like you're a 20-point per game scorer who works perfectly with your superstar on your team, and you don't need that much money. Like 20 to 25 million is what he'll probably ask for, and they'll probably get him for cheaper due to the scandals. So in my opinion, the Hornets are pretty smart, just grabbing Miles Bridges while he's cheap for a 1 year deal, but I just don't know if he'll get to play or not. I do want to say that the biggest moves from second day have been at the $260 million contracts. There has been two of them. It has been Lamelo and it has been Anthony Edwards. This draft class is stacked, and in my opinion, they've done a phenomenal job, these teams, of giving the players what they want. They've given them depth. They've given them teams which they want to stay in. And now what they're really doing is just keeping this pattern going of making yourself the best possible position. A few moves which I missed. I think I missed Patrick Beverley to the 76ers. I think he fits great. They need that energy guy, as PJ Tucker doesn't play the same anymore. And yes, even though he's a vet leader, he isn't as vocal as he was in a place like Miami because he just doesn't get the chance to scream at stars. And yeah, I know that there's that one viral clip of him doing it to Joel Embiid in the playoffs, but you need more than one of those guys. Right? In Philly, you do, because it's just a franchise which has been put and based around just, softness, right? With Ben Simmons, with Joel Embiid. It's like, don't say anything to the stars. You need those guys who can just say, shut up and hoop. You're a superstar. Patty Mills is teaming up with his Australian teammate now, Josh Giddey in the OKC Thunder. In my opinion, this is very good. I do like this move. Patty Mills is a veteran presence, and when you're trying to develop a point guard like Josh Giddey, where he could do so much with that size, I think Patty Mills will add a very humble and nice experience, especially from someone who's from the same place that he's from. Thomas Bryant signed with the Heat. I like this move because since the Heat really give a lot of minutes to their bench big men, right? Like they have a pretty extensive just lineup, and in my opinion, this is good for them as they will probably utilize him more than the other teams which he has been in. Even though, so that's that, and finally, I want to talk about the final deal is Jordan Clarkson back to Utah, 3 years, 55 million. He got 15 million a year. I like the move, but in my opinion, this offseason has just been very decisive. If you're a tanking team, then you just decided to tank. Like the Spurs are obviously going to try to just build through Wemby, and they're going to try to stay out the way, and build through the players which they have. It's obvious, teams like Portland, Miami, etc. are trying to make moves to get better, even though if those two teams are not succeeding so far. And the teams which were already bad want to at least get some structure on their squads to be better in the future. Like Atlanta's trying to clear cap to get themselves out of the hole, and they're obviously trying to keep their best players, right? And it's looking like the Jazz now, they want to push for a championship, I think, because they signed John Collins, brought back Jordan Clarkson, and now they want Dame. I don't know, but it seems like in this free agency, everyone's wanted to be good. Also, I want to speak on the Tyrese Maxey situation, where in my opinion, I believe that he should stay in Philly and that they should offer him his extension right now. James Harden is gone, and unless you get Damian Lillard back for James Harden, I don't think that would make the Trailblazers much better, or that would make the Sixers much better. Because even though having Dame is good, you would probably have to ship most of your franchise away just to get him, right? Because James Harden, even though he's a star, I don't think they would want him as much as they would want a guy like maybe Tyrese Maxey and of some first round picks. So in my opinion, this free agency has just been filled with the teams wanting to get better, good teams wanting to solidify, and it seems like no team has actually let up and been like, oh no, I just want to get worse, right? Like the Rockets wasted a lot of cap and they got better. So yeah, but it seems like teams have just been wanting to get better. And that seems to be the theme of this offseason. From the Rockets finally getting veterans and players which can improve a franchise when it comes to their mentality and experience. From the Grizzlies getting Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose and, filling out some of their lineup. From the Celtics getting Kristaps Porzingis. From the Wizards, trading away for future assets, and it seems like every team has just wanted to be better. Dame wants to be in Miami, Miami wants Dame, Portland wants to be a contender now, I guess. Like, they want to win for some reason, and even teams like Chicago, right? I think that they want to get better. And it seems like the entire league has just gone into I want to be the best team I can be, right? The Warriors got CP, the Pacers got Haliburton on his deal, the Minnesota too, and it seems like every team has just been really focused on how can I make my team better for now or for the future, but we just need to get better. And that's, I respect it, it's been like that for this offseason, and I think it shows the league, just doesn't want to stay put. They want to make changes, and they're sick of waiting 10 years for something not to work. But they'd rather, like the Suns did. Oh, it wasn't working with D-Book and CP. Let's change something. And in my opinion, that shows that the league is turning into a new mentality, and that it seems like the teams now, really want to round out their lineups and make the best chance possible, as it seems like everyone now wants a championship or at least to compete for it in some near future.